Guys, it's Will here once again for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 170 from Brasilia as Kevin Lee faces off against Charles Oliveira in a main event. And this is a very stacked UFC Fight Night card from down there in Brazil. Really good fights throughout the card. I mean, Kevin Lee and Oliveira is your main event, and you've got Maia and Burns as your co-main event. Moicano, Johnny Walker against Krylov, Zaleski dos Santos, Formiga, Moreno, Barzola. I mean, Ribas is on the card. This is a really stacked fight night card. Really looking forward to talking about it. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. You'll be notified. When I come on live or when I've got a video out. And give me a thumbs up if you can. That's much appreciated. I see a couple of you did that already. And much appreciated. But yeah, coming off UFC 248, which was an okay card for me. I got back on track betting wise. Some unbelievable fights and some fights which kind of failed to deliver. But yeah, it kind of made up for it with that Joanna and Wiley Zhang fight. It was pretty special to sit up at 5 AM in the morning and watch that. So yeah, but I'm going to get into this fight card because this is a good one, and I'm just going to be going on what I see literally on Wikipedia here. This fight, I'd be surprised if it starts the night. It's the first fight of the night, but it's in the women's strawweight division. We've got Ronda Marcos against Amanda Ribas. This, I think I'm a believer in Amanda Ribas now. I think that I've tried to fade her against Mackenzie Dern, and she completely shut down Mackenzie Dern. And I've had some people say to me, well, it was after coming back from having a kid and so on. I don't believe that for a second. I just think that I think even if Mackenzie Dern was on full form, I think Amanda Ribas would be. I think Amanda Ribas is so well rounded. She's super athletic, and she's very dangerous in many facets. And I think she's going to be around for a long time. I think the UFC can absolutely build this girl. Coming out of American Top Team, I think she's got a lot of smooth running going in the UFC. I think she's got, like I say, a lot of things there. She's very strong up top, very good footwork, very good clean combinations, and that's something that I really wouldn't expect from someone who's a jiu-jitsu background. I think she's got a jiu-jitsu black belt and a judo black belt, so she's got a lot of facets to her game there that she uses, and she's very skilled on the mat, and that's kind of where I'm thinking this fight will go. I think if I'm Marcos, I wouldn't want to really go to the mat with someone like Ribas, so she's probably going to have to keep it on the feet, and I think even on there, I think she's outgunned a little bit just by the cleaner combination striking of Ribas, and Marcos is so easy to be getting hit. Her head stays on the centre line, she gets her head popped back all the time, her nose is always red and bloodied up, and I think in the exchanges here, I think I just don't see Marcos getting kind of much better of the exchanges, and I think once this fight hits the mat, I think Ribas will be far better down in there, but you can never rule out the kind of veteran in Ronda Marcos. She's had many big fights with many bigger kind of fighters, bigger fighters I say, but people that have fought for titles, had championship belts and so on. But I think the sky's the limit for Amanda Ribas. I really do. I think she's got a lot of game. I think the UFC were trying to match her up with Paige Van Zandt. That was a fight which ultimately I think that would have been really good for Ribas in that spot. Try and build off a kind of star in Paige Van Zandt. But ultimately here, I've got Amanda Ribas here. I think once it hits the mat, I think she can get takedowns. I think she can get submissions. I've got Amanda Ribas to win via submission. Probably late round 2 in that one there. Women's bantamweight division, Veronica Macedo against Bia Alekey. Weird fight, honestly, because Macedo at 135, I thought she was down at 125. And Alekey, I mean, she's 1-0. I've seen a couple of her fights. I've seen obviously the tough fight, and then I just literally just watched the Duda Santana fight, which was not great. If you ask me, she was getting tagged up by that girl. She got taken down 3 times. There was a couple of positions there where she could have got submitted if Santana had any more confidence and kind of went with it. And then obviously in the second round there, she managed to find a way into get in the back. Got a couple of neck cranks, got close to it, but then inevitably just got the rear naked choke. Not good, very kind of lowish level, but I mean that's what you're going to get when you've got a 1-0 pro. And then you've got Macedo, who's like super undersized, so it's pretty much like a featherweight against a strawweight here. or a flyweight, probably a flyweight against a featherweight, because Macedo shouldn't really be at 135. She's small for the division. She's right at 125. She's coming off a minute submission of Poliana Viana where she got taken down. She tried a spinning back kick to the body and ultimately got taken down, and Viana just kind of got caught in the position, and then she got armbarred. Now you have to be careful with Macedo because she is a brown belt. She does a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions. It's something that I think she's always really had. She's got that taekwondo background. The way I kind of see this here is, obviously there's a massive height and range gap here, and Alekey, she's super hittable, super hittable. So I think someone like Macedo can use those strikes at with like her spins quite a lot. I think she can attack the legs, but she's obviously going to have to get in close to getting into Alekey's kind of range here. And I don't think Alekey has really got the game to really keep it at distance and keep it consistently there at distance. I think Veronica Macedo can absolutely grapple. I think she can wrestle the lights off her here. I really do. I think she can take her down. I think she can be far superior on top. But there is a massive... If she manages to reverse these, then Alekey's going to be massive on top of Macedo. I've actually just seen some people kind of on Twitter and so on, and a couple of guys, and they like Alekey in this spot. Now, I'm not saying Macedo's a world beater. I actually like Macedo. I think she's got a lot to kind of garner. I think she's 23, 24 years old, still a lot to kind of grow into. But Alekey's the 1-0. That fight with Leah Letson, not impressed. And then the Santana one, she was getting pinged up a little bit in that first round, and she was being dominated in the grappling. So I'm going to pick Veronica Macedo for the win there. Flyweight division, we have Bruno Silva against the newcomer David Dvorak out of the Czech Republic. Now, Dvorak is a guy I've known about for probably closing in 3 years, and a really good addition to the UFC flyweight division. I think there's some flyweights out there the UFC should ultimately bring in, because I think they can build a division around some of these guys coming in. When the UFC went to the Czech Republic last year, I was so surprised they didn't bring this kid in when they had the opportunity to do so. And like I say, a little bit surprised, but he went out there, had a couple more fights in 2019, and then he had a fight last year in Octagon, which is a promotion in the Czech Republic which has grown vastly. They're putting on big cards. I think you're going to be seeing people coming through that promotion coming into the UFC, and he beat Arsene Tigerbov, and he looked phenomenal. He really did. Crisp striking. I think Tigerbov should be in the UFC as well. I think he could find his way into the UFC within the next year. Super crisp striking. Great teep kicks, great angles, great footwork, really good low kicks. He's a good kicker. I haven't seen much of his wrestling. There's a couple of fights out there where you'll see him rushing in for takedowns and getting it there. But once he gets the back, he's very dominant from there. And he will put in like a single arm choke and just work away at the hands till he gets the choke. The fight, I can't remember his opponent's name. I think it's Damian. He got caught in an armbar, so he came through a little bit of adversity there, which I like personally. I've seen guys like that come through. But like I said, I really like what I see from this kid from his striking. He's a guy that I think I would like to bet, but I think this fight's going to be close. When you look at Bruno Silva, I think that he obviously trains with Cejudo. He does a lot with Eric Albarracin, so he's got the Pitbull brothers to kind of train with quite a lot. And he's got some decent facets to his game. I thought he was a little bit... I kind of felt for him a little bit in his UFC debut against Kali Taha, because Taha was massive in that fight. You could see there was clear weight divisions between those ones there. And he got dropped a couple of times. Couldn't really use his strength of his grappling against Taha because he was so big. And ultimately ended up losing that fight via submission, but then it got changed to no contest because Taha was on something as well. So it's kind of crazy but now he's dropping down to flyweight, where he's got a fight here at home. I think he's going to want to look at the grapple, because I think David will have a far superior striking game to what Bruno Silva has. And I think if it was to go to the mat, I think Dvorak would... what's up, guys? I see in the chat there. Dvorak is really good across, I think, many facets. He's a really good addition to the flyweight division. I'm very high in the kid. I think that he's going to be a good addition. But I do think this fight's going to be super close, and you've got dog money on Dvorak, which I like, but if I could get a little bit more, it might tempt me a little bit more, but plus 110 in the UK, it's not enough for me right now. If it was to go up, which it might, it might kind of go the other way, it might be a pick 'em by fight time. I can see why, because I've got the feeling it's going to be a close fight in Brazil, but I think that Silva has to get takedowns and he has to be heavy on top. And I don't know whether he can do that for the 15 minutes of the whole entire fight. So I'm going to pick David Dvorak to win via decision. But ultimately, I see this being very close. It could be a split. But hopefully he wins and comes through, because I do like what I see. He's very easy in the eye when you watch his fights back. So David Dvorak via decision in that one. Marina Moroz against Mayra Bueno Silva. This, I like Moroz in this fight. And it's not too many times you will see me saying that I like Marina Moroz in a fight, if I'm being honest with you, because she doesn't really excel in any one area. When you watch her, it's kind of obvious, you can see that. But her boxing is very, very fluid, very, very technical. And what I like about her last fight was the fact that she showed, she had a little bit of a wrestling game, she had a clinch game against Sabina Mazo, and I like that. I think she can mix up a little bit. With Bueno Silva, she's a very aggressive Muay Thai striker, comes forward, very open, but I think her defence is poor, her striking defence is poor. I think she's able to be hit a lot. I think someone like Moroz, who can pop a nice jab out there, have good boxing combinations, boxing fundamentals, could really affect her in this fight, and she gets pushed back a little bit. And I just think she's more aggressive on the feet. I think with the hand she's more aggressive, and that can win her the fight here. But if she could just mix in a couple of takedowns, and we've seen Bueno Silva, I mean, she faced Gillian Robertson, who is a kind of feast or famine type fighter, where she can sub you in the first round, or she can also get taken out in the first round. But she caught a really nice submission of her own there. I just like Marina Moroz. I think that she can keep her at distance. I think her boxing is better. But we are in Brazil, so if these fights are close, she has to make it decisive. If she doesn't, then it could easily go Brazil's way here and Silva's way. But yeah, I like Marina Moroz. I think there's some people that have messaged me that got dog odds. I think she's still an underdog. But what's up, Just Bleed MMA? I see, brother. I've seen that. We're tied up top. But yeah, it's a fight. Ultimately, I'm going to pick Marina Moroz via a decision. But yeah, I can't believe I'm saying I'm liking Marina Moroz in a fight. It's very kind of unlike me, if I'm being honest with you. So yeah, where are we now? Ronnie Yahya against Enrique Barzola. Now this is an interesting one, with the simple fact that Barzola's making the drop to 135. Not an overly big guy. Going to be bigger than Yahya if he makes the weight, which is a little bit kind of. Hopefully he makes the weight. That's it. I was looking at him thinking, where's he going to lose that extra 10 pounds? Because he wasn't really big for 145, but moving down to 135, that extra 10 pounds, you're like, where's he losing that? But looking on Instagram, he looks in great shape. He's been training with Khabib, all those Dagestani guys at AKA, after leaving American Top Team, which is a little bit weird because ATT is recognised as probably the best gym out there at the minute. But you're going to another top quality gym in AK, where you've got really good athletes and wrestlers all over the place, and they're preparing for massive, massive fights. Ronnie Yahya, to me, I think he's starting to show his age. I mean, he's been around Zuffa for 10 plus years, the WEC and the UFC, and to me, he looks like he's just starting to filter off, fade a little bit. He's 35, 36, so he is filtering off a little bit, but he is very, very dangerous. If he can get the fight to the ground, which I think is his path to victory, if he gets it there and gets in a position where he can get a submission, he can absolutely win the fight. But his best takedown is a single leg. I just don't think he's going to catch Barzola, who I think is more flighty on the feet, more output from Barzola. That's something that I really like from Barzola. He keeps on going, but will the drop down to 135 ultimately kind of hurt him in that spot? And it might, where he might get tired late on in the fight. So I'm a little bit kind of worried in that aspect. Yeah, but I'm a fan of Barzola here. The fight that kind of jumped out to me with Ronnie Yahya was Ricky Simone. Ricky Simon got takedowns but did nothing with him. He literally just jumped in, take him down, and then sat back. And what Yahya was trying to get him in to come into his guard. I think Barzola can do that same type of game plan. He can have more output, but he can get those fast reactionary takedowns, take him down, and then literally just jump out, and then just win the fight through his output and his pace. Because I do think Ronnie Yahya is fading a little bit, but it's in Brazil, and if he can get positions on the ground, I mean, like he's very, very adept across his jiu-jitsu. He caught Sanders with a heel hook. He caught Russell Doan, I think, in an arm triangle. Briones with a Kimura. So this guy is deadly if he gets you in a position on the ground. I just don't think he's going to get Barzola there. So ultimately, I've got Barzola winning another decision. I think that he comes in here at, just has far more output, kind of knocks the head back of Ronnie Yahya, gets some reactionary takedowns and kind of wins through that. So I've got Rani to win that one, 30-27. I think he can do decent in that fight there. But I'm interested to see him at 135 first. Where are we? Flyweight division, Jussieu Formiga against Brandon Moreno. Now this one's kind of had my attention a little bit because you see that money beside Brandon Moreno, and obviously it's Jussieu. He was plus 160. Now I think he's plus 140. So the money's definitely coming in here for the baby-faced assassin, I think his name is. But then you've got the old warhorse and Jussieu Formiga. I think a lot's been taken away from the Kai Kara France fight, where he kind of pretty much outstruck what many people thought was a superior striker to Brandon Moreno. So he's starting to round out his game a little bit, where his striking's becoming very, very good, and he's hard to hit as well as Brandon Moreno. Not hard to hit, but his movement's very kind of herky-jerky, so he's hard to really pin down and really get good combinations off. And he can get takedowns as well. We've seen that in the Sergio Pettis fight, where that was kind of his main part of that fight, was getting takedowns and so on. But then you've got like someone like Formiga, who I think he's going to fight this one a lot similar to like the Davison Figueiredo one. I think he's going to try and wait for the right times to get takedowns, and all this guy really needs is to get you down once, and that can be the kind of end of the round. Especially if he gets the back, because he's got such a vicious body triangle and such a vice-like body triangle that he could ultimately keep you there for 4 minutes of the round and win through that. His striking has improved, but it's not super. It's not great. It's not like, it's nothing that you should really be kind of focused on, very dangerous about. I think what comes on, what he does well is getting it down to the ground and really getting dominating position through that. But Moreno, has he maybe turned a corner here where he's really putting that all together? He's definitely going to be faster on the feet. But I see this fight kind of being like Figueiredo, and maybe that's a bad example, because Figueiredo, I mean, he's probably the champion of the division if he made weight. But what he did well in that fight was he used the aggression of Figueiredo coming forward, timed those takedowns perfectly, won the rounds through his positioning and his dominance on the back from there. Like I say, if you got Brandon Moreno plus 160, plus 150, plus 160, you're getting value in that, in my opinion. I just think this is going to be a very close fight in Brazil. We've seen Askar Askarov get takedowns on Moreno as well, which is another thing there. If he can, I believe that Formiga can, and he can win rounds through that. I think this could be a little bit of a smelly fight. I think it might be a little bit Formiga just trying to get the win back in the win column there, because, like I say, the divisions are kind of all over the place at the minute. But ultimately, I've got Formiga via a decision, probably 29-28, kind of Brazilian decision I've got there. So, yeah. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos against Alekey Kunchenko. Great fight. Really good fight. I'm looking forward to seeing how Capoeira dos Santos really rebounds after that Li Jingliang fight, where he just didn't... Li Jingliang looked like a completely different animal in China compared to last week. I didn't understand what Li Jingliang was doing last week with that game plan, with trying to wrestle Neil Magny. I didn't see that. He had to be aggressive there, coming forward, coming at him, but he was deciding to clinch up and so on. So maybe this whole like coronavirus thing, it maybe took its toll on him and so on. But he just didn't fight like the Li Jingliang I thought he would in that fight. I thought that was the perfect spot on pay-per-view to really elevate him, get him close to that ranked in that division. It just did not happen at all, and was a bad performance. But props to Neil Magny, because he had a great performance after a long time away. Zaleski dos Santos, I mean, super aggressive. Can sometimes give away parts of the fight where he's getting hit with shots. You're like, oh, that's really not too great. The Vendramini fight, he was getting hit with shots by that guy, and I was like, that's not great. But ultimately, it takes one shot from this guy and he can knock you out. I mean, Sean Strickland, spinning wheel kick out of nowhere, bang, out. Flying knee against Vendramini, out. Then he took down Curtis Millender, who I probably could take down and submit as well, which is saying something. And got him out of there in that very first round. But then went to China and he just didn't look like it was. He just didn't look like he was in that fight. But maybe Lee just fights different at home. There was someone that said earlier on that maybe fighting in China is just one of the hardest kind of places to maybe fight. And maybe there's some merit to that. But Li Jingliang seems to be unbeatable at home as well. But yeah, Kunchenko, you look at him, plods forward, very thick set guy, will fight to a game plan, is kind of right down the middle as he can. Very tough guy to face, a hard guy to really look good against. But he's coming off, what was I looking at there, sorry. He's coming off wins over Thiago Alves and Yushin Okami before losing to what's his name, Gilbert Burns. Darino came in there in 2 weeks' notice, really boxed him up a little bit, but really used takedowns well in that fight as well. Not really boxed him up, it was pretty close, but the takedowns was what really kind of sealed that fight for Gilbert Burns. And like I say, he really kind of once he kind of got taken down for the third time, I think it was, he kind of realised, right, this fight's gone. So he just kind of let it fly by. It's interesting here because Zaleski, I think, needs to rebound big. But Kunchenko's the guy that will sit behind a jab, use his striking, and look to try and take the fight to the ground and maybe try and pound you out a little bit. So he might put himself in a position where he might get hit by a shot by Kunchenko here. So it's a tough fight. I'm going to pick Alessio dos Santos via... I'll pick him via TKO, because he can pull something out of his backside just like that. So I'll go Alessio dos Santos, TKO, round number 2. Next up, lightweight division, Francisco Trinaldo Masaranduba against John Makdessi. I'm struggling with this fight a little bit because I do think John Makdessi could be live in this spot. I really do. And I didn't really think, I've never really kind of said that too much, if I'm being honest with you as well. But I'm a fan of Trinaldo, but I think this line, initially I think you could get Makdessi at like plus 175. And I thought there was some merit to maybe betting Makdessi at that one there, because he is a guy, I don't think he's underrated, but he's a guy you forget about quite easily because he fights once a year. He comes back and, I mean, he faced Jesus Pinedo, I want to say, a year ago, and then we've not heard anything from him again since. But, yeah, when you look at Makdessi, that I think his Taekwondo background kind of picks his strikes really well. Yeah, this is a tough fight for me because I think he'll win the striking exchanges. I think he's quicker in the striking exchanges. But when you look at Masaranduba, the raw power is really on his side. And in Brazil, I kind of lean Trinaldo a little bit, but I think that Makdessi can really win the exchanges, like the cleaner strikes and getting out. And I think he counters really well too. But Trinaldo just bull rushes forward and really looks to hurt you. You can try and get takedowns, but he's got good takedown defense. But he's not been facing kind of high kind of caliber guys. So I don't know with this one. Honestly, I'm kind of struggling a wee bit because Trinaldo is 41, 42 now. So surely he must be starting to kind of fade back a little bit at some point. But him fighting in Brazil, he seems to get a lot of... he's big with the fans down in there, obviously. So everything that he kind of throws and lands really gets a big pop from the crowd. I think he's really good with like some of the kids down there. I don't know. I'm struggling with this. I've seen some people in Makdessi. I think this is going to be another kind of Brazilian decision where he might be sitting back and thinking Makdessi might actually get that, but Brazil gives him a decision. So Yeah, I think he'll try and throw hard counters. I think Makdessi will counter him a little bit, but ultimately I'm going to pick Trinaldo via very. I don't know. That one's a tough one for me. I'll go Trinaldo via split decision. I think that it's going to be very, very close. So, yeah. Where are we next? Johnny Walker against Nikita Krylov. I love this fight. I think a lot of people will like this fight. I think you've got, obviously, Johnny Walker making that return after that kind of, I don't want to say embarrassing knockout to Corey Anderson, because Corey Anderson's a top 10 guy and Walker was making that kind of jump trying to get into the top 10 of the division. He's only been in the UFC a little while, but he's not really been around not had much kind of octagon time because he finishes guys so quick. So he's probably got less than 5 minutes octagon time. But what is he really kind of known for? He's very, very fast, very explosive. Just unpredictable is kind of the word that kind of really comes to mind when I think about Johnny Walker. You don't know what he's going to throw, spinning back fist, flying knee, just doing crazy shit everywhere. But he got made, he kind of got found out a little bit in this fight, in the fight with Corey Anderson. He got hit, but Corey Anderson doesn't really knock anybody out, standing strike to strike. It doesn't really happen all that often. But what you have to do with Johnny Walker is you have to kind of respect the power and have to really keep your eyes and keep focused on that guy, because at any time he could do anything. He's made the move to TriStar. I don't think that's enough time to really fix the frailties that this guy's got. He came out in that fight after Corey Anderson and said that he blamed the coach for what happened during fight week and all that. And dude, you're in the cage. That comes down to you. You do everything that's in that cage. So don't blame the coach if something goes wrong. Like, inevitably, if he goes to TriStar and he's there for a while, I think Firas Zahabi can make him a really dangerous fighter. And I think that will happen eventually. But in this fight, like, if you've watched me over the years, I love Nikita Krylov. And I pretty much bet this guy every time, because I always seem to get dog odds on him. I did it against Blachowicz, lost that one. Did it against Teixeira last time, lost that one. But there's other ones where I've got him in the WSP fight and so on. But when you actually thought he beat Teixeira, but it was one of those fights where he made critical mistakes at the worst times. And that's something you cannot do. I mean, in the third round, I think in the last 30 seconds, he had the back of Teixeira and just got too aggressive with the fact that he slid off, and then Teixeira was on top for the last 10-15 seconds, which can easily sway a judge one way. Comes from that Kushoken karate background, but I think he's got a big advantage grappling here if he can use it. I mean, you've seen that in the Glover-Teixeira fight. He took Glover down a few times. There was a few times where Glover went for the guillotine choke and initially couldn't get it. But once he kind of got down there, he worked his way to full mount, was delivering heavy ground and pound, and was very kind of close in a few situations of maybe getting submissions himself. I think he can take down Johnny Walker at not any time, but I think he could do it at a vast majority of the time. What's the other thing I was going to say? But on the feet, I think he can contend with him on the feet. I think he's got really good kicks, really good long kicks, and good striking. I think if he catches him with a clean shot, which he caught, some of the shots he caught OSP with, he can really hurt Johnny Walker. I'm picking Nikita Krylov. I'm going to bet Nikita Krylov. Like I said, I was never on the Johnny Walker hype train. Initially, I was looking for that spot to fade him. I did it against Corey Anderson, and I think this is a spot where Nikita Krylov can come in here. And if he doesn't make those mistakes, I think he will win the fight. So I've got Nikita Krylov by knockout. I think actually by ground and pound. I think he takes him down, works his way to full mount, and absolutely pounds him out via ground and pound. But I think he could do it in the feet also. But I'm going to do it via ground and pound in probably the first round as well. Renato Moicano makes the move up to 155. He faces off against Demian Hadzovic. What's up, Kiro? I see you there. I think this is a good matchup for introducing Moicano to 155. He was obviously a bit of a beast. Well, not a beast, but a very solid top 10 guy at featherweight. Now he's making the move up to 155. He felt after a couple of losses that he kind of had to make the move up, which I like personally. I think that if he's going a little bit stale at 145, then moving to a new division is going to help him in this aspect. And then you've got Hadzovic here, who I just think this is a bit of step up in calibre opposition to what he has faced in the past. When Moicano's on, Moicano is super dangerous and can beat some of the world's best. And he's been in there with some of the world's best. I just don't think you can put Hadzovic in the same kind of league there. But Moicano can be pounded out. We've seen that Aldo caught him with that shot in the second round. We've seen the Korean Zombie in the first round of his last fight. That if you catch the chin, you can hurt this guy. But he's a guy who works a very long jab, does Renato Moicano, can really hurt people with that jab. He's dropped people with that jab before. But Hadzovic will look to kind of get in the inside, look to throw bombs, which is something that he's done in the past. But I just think Moicano, when you look at skill for skill, I think he's a more technical, better striker. I think if it goes to the ground, he's got the far superior Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then I think he's got better wrestling as well. I like Hadzovic. I bet him a few times in the UFC, won a few times on him. But I just think that this is a good fight for Moicano to kind of introduce himself and get back in the win column. So I'm going to take Renato Moicano to win a decision. Ultimately, I'm going to pick him via decision in that one. Co-main event of the night, we have Demian Maia against Gilbert Burns. This fight, to me, I want to be confident in Gilbert Burns, but there's something that's kind of ringing out to me regarding Demian Maia just winning this fight. And I don't know whether it's Dorino maybe wants to see what the kind of ground game of Maia's like. Maybe if he wants to see he compete with him down there. When you look at like his last fight, Demian Maia, that was a tailor-made matchup against someone that's not really dangerous in Ben Askren except for the wrestling. He will happily take that if he can take you to the ground and get to the ground, because that's where he shines, obviously. But if this fight stays standing, you heavily favour Gilbert Burns. And that's kind of where I'm going in this one, because if it goes to the ground, I think he's got enough there where he maybe survives getting submitted, but you don't want to be in that situation where I think Maia's the elite guy when it comes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, grappling and submissions in the UFC. I think I've always thought that. I thought Dorino's up there. He obviously beat Gunnar Nelson coming in there on short notice. And he's made a great introduction to 170, but Maia's a big guy for 170, and if he gets him down, he could be in a lot of trouble. I think Charles Oliveira had him in some spots in that fight where he kind of not held on, what's the word I'm trying to find? Had kind of Burns at his mercy a little bit, but then inevitably if you play around on the ground too much with Burns, then you can get caught in something. And that's kind of what happened with Oliveira. He got caught in the third round after being up 2 rounds. So simple way to this fight is that if it stays standing, I think the more better striker, obviously, is Gilbert Burns. And I think he's got enough jiu-jitsu skills to really stop Demian Maia from getting to the ground and establishing down there. But like I say, it's hard to tell because Maia, I think, can do well in this fight. If he gets him to the ground, I think he could submit him as well. So, yeah. There's some people out there that message me, they're saying, I can't believe Maia's plus 170 and I'm going to take the shot. I'm all for that, honestly. I just think that he's going to get pinged up in the feet a little bit, and I'll go with that. But I will go Gilbert Burns. I'm not confident in that pick, though. Minus 200 on Gilbert Burns, to me, is just, I don't like that line at all. So, yeah, I'll go Gilbert Burns via decision. But like I say, that's going to be my least confident picks, and I actually hope Demian Maia comes out here and wins. I don't know if this is his last fight in his contract or his second last fight, but I'd like to see Demian Maia go out with a couple of wins before heading into retirement. So yeah. And then we've got the main event here. We've got Kevin Lee against Charles Oliveira. Fuck me, what a fight this is. Jeez, this is a really good fight with two guys who are super dangerous, super skilled in kind of a lot of different aspects, and the rise kind of Charles Oliveira in the last 18 months has been exceptional to see. He really has rounded out his game with his Muay Thai, where he is just dangerous wherever this fight goes. But I'm still on the fence with. It's hard in my mind to get the old days of where he kind of quit himself in a little bit. And I think those days are past. I hope those days are past. But I still see spots where Kevin Lee can blatantly exploit Charles Oliveira. Obviously, you've got the ground. The guy's got the most submissions in the UFC history. But now he's started to really round out that game where he's landing flying Superman elbows, and he's flying knees, and the straight down the pipe that he caught Nick Lentz with after catching the kick was exceptional. The guy's got a lot of power, a lot of leverage. But when you look at it, look at the guys he's been facing. I really shouldn't be making assumptions in that spot, but you've got guys who I don't even think are top 25 in that lightweight division. Jared Gordon, I don't see it. Clay Guida, he's past it. Jim Miller, I still think it's very dangerous, but Charles Oliveira was too much. Nick Lentz, he shouldn't be fighting Nick Lentz. David Tamer, good win, but that was a big step up for David Tamer, in my opinion, at that point. Hiagos, these aren't guys that Oliveira, in my opinion, should be fighting better guys than that. I think that he's obviously, they've tried to build him up, and maybe people don't want to fight Oliveira, but now they've given him a guy who I still think can be a top 5 guy in Kevin Lee, and the kid's only 27 years old. He's got a huge reach as well for lightweight, 77 inches. I think he's got, probably 46 inches here, and he uses it really well. You've seen that in the fight with Gillespie, where he used that kind of low stance, which obviously needed against someone like Gregor Gillespie with the wrestling accolades that guy's got. But he hit Gregor Gillespie with some great strikes. He obviously got hit with a few strikes because his face was all marked up, and like that fight finished in the first round. But that finish of Gregor Gillespie, my word, that was an absolute killer of a knockout. Gregor Gillespie might not even be the same fighter after that. He caught him with the right hand, came up with the left high kick, but he started to try that, because before that, a few minutes before that, or 30 seconds actually, he threw that high kick to see what Gillespie's reaction would be, and he seen that he kind of moved back with the head kind of tilted a little bit, and then he threw it 30 seconds later, but he threw it after the right hand and absolutely ripped him apart. But looking at this match, right, let's look at it a little bit. I think Oliveira's head stays very still on the centre line, so he can get hit very, very easily. I'm still not super sure he can take body shots very well. And I like the fact that Lee's went to TriStar. I think having someone like Firas Zahabi is really going to calm him down, because before he would come right at you, he would gas a little bit, and always be dangerous in kind of every facet. I think he's a really good wrestler, good striker, good jiu-jitsu, and he's got very long, straight punches, and very, very hard to kind of get out of him, because he's got such a long reach. But like, it's hard, because Oliveira, to me, like what you've seen recently, the kid is so dangerous, man. He really is. When I see this fight to fight on the feet, I kind of edge Oliveira a little bit, just an overall striker. But I think Kevin Lee's got the harder shots. But for me, I don't think this fight's actually going to take place on the feet. I think eventually this fight's going to find a way at the ground, and I think Kevin Lee has kind of got a big wrestling advantage here, because you've seen Nick Lentz take this guy down easily. And Kevin Lee, I think, is still one of the best wrestlers in the whole entire sport. Double legs. I think that he can get in on double legs. I really do think that is something that he can use here. And once he gets to the ground, I don't think people should underestimate Kevin Lee on the ground, because Charles Oliveira has been submitted in the past. Pettis caught him. Who else caught him? There was actually another guy that caught him out of... Let me see. Oh, Lamas. That was the one that I was trying to think of. So Lamas went out there and submitted him as well. I think Kevin Lee, once he gets the back, is very, very dominant, very strong. Obviously, you can make him do the chicken dance that kind of Edson Barboza does, or did in that fight. But to me, I just think that Kevin Lee is just a little bit better than Charles Oliveira now. And I never liked the fact that Charles Oliveira, I read a interview last week, he's still talking about moving down to featherweight. Focus on your division at 155 right now. that's what you should be focusing on in your fight there. But he says he eventually wants to go back to 145, and he says he's got unfinished business there. And I'm just like, dude, you can win lots of fight at 155 in the toughest division in the UFC. Don't focus on another division, because he always comes in underweight as well. But I'm actually going to take Kevin Lee here. I think that he can break the will of Charles Oliveira. I do. I think that he can find the back. Actually, I'm going to pick him via submission. I've got Kevin Lee inside the distance, but I'm going to pick him via submission. I think that he can get to a dominant spot. I think maybe Charles Oliveira turns over, and I think that he can get the back there and choke him out, or just pound him out. I've got Kevin Lee. I'm actually pretty confident that I'm going to leave a bet. I'm going to make a bet, sorry, in Kevin Lee. But yeah, I wonder what the submission prop will be for Kevin Lee in that one. But I'm going to take a little stab at that. Why not? But Kevin Lee's going to be my pick. So that's my picks. Hope you guys enjoyed that. 80 people in the chat, which is pretty nuts for me. So I appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'm here every week making predictions, and I have been for years. Not many people out there that have been around as long as I have, as you can tell by the kind of grey hairs here. I never had them 8 years ago, so I do appreciate every single one of you who has been in there. Just a shout out to all the other predictors that do this week in, week out. There is a lot of guys out there that make great quality content, and there's different personalities out here. I'm a pretty laid back, chilled guy, where there's other guys that'll go off their rocker, like Mr. Arkansas and Mo Screams out there. There's a whole load of other guys, and like I will always shout out other predictors. I do think we need more guys in here. So if you don't like them so much, I'm here. If you don't like me so much, they're there. There's always something for somebody. So until next time, guys, we're back for the London card next week. Leon Edwards, Tyron Woodley, some good fights in that card. Looking forward to seeing Jack Shore. I'm a big fan of that kid. Until next week, guys, all the very, very best, and enjoy the fights, because this is a great fight card this weekend. All the best. Cheers.